Welcome to the second phase of the Gold Team Championships from China. It's the first match of the first day of Phase 2. It's going to be Suning versus IG. Suning with a 2-4 opening record, IG with a 4-2 record. It looks like VK did top the tables at the end of Phase 1. And from what I can make out, it's Lucky Future that have been banned out by them, which means that VK won't play LF at any point in Phase 2. And that's interesting because they are not one of the top 3 or 4 teams at the moment. The team of Zhoulang, Reconnect, Blue and Yu Ying. So, anyway, today's game is going to be between Xiao and XiaoYao. And as you can see, it is the Stealth Rogue taking on the Mage to start with. Xiao and XiaoYao, 2 players we haven't really seen yet. A lot of these teams have got more than 3 players. And nice early Doomsayer, but it's going to get removed. It's going to absorb all this damage, which is obviously good. And it does mean that XiaoYao won't be able to develop his Miscreant this turn. But even so, this is a little bit of a nightmare for Xiao. I guess the 3-1, the Spy Mistress also has to reveal herself, so can be pinged away next turn. But you expect to get a bit more than that out of your Doomsayer. Would have been nice to be able to Doomsayer, then maybe even coin into a Twilight Drake. As it is though, so relegated just a ping, but that is going to take a lot of the sting out of this opener. And not a lot for XiaoYao to actually do next turn. So yeah, just the ping. And looking to pick up some curve fillers here. That's not really it. It's going to be a pretty bleak turn. But Rogue has a lot of bleak turns early. It's quite an interesting deck to have to play sometimes. Nothing really works. And then suddenly it all works. And you get lackeys and togwaggles, galacrons, all that good stuff all at once. So 2 good relevant choices here for Xiao. Does have the Bone Wraith available, of course the Twilight Drake. Both will do a pretty good job in slowing this down. And XiaoYao will actually get to use his Backstab and Miscreant and get some lackeys on the go. They're quite often what you need. Getting 2 lackeys means you've got a very good chance of getting either a spell or a dragon generated for you, and then you can really start filling out your curve, get the deck rolling. Talking of rolling, Xiao does have the rolling Fireball available, but he'll want to keep that coin for, hopefully for him, turn 7 going into the Pilgrim. And you don't need the taunt right now, is my feeling here. Why he's going for the Twilight Drake. They're very similar in what they do, but the Twilight Drake requires bigger answer, but also the Bone Wraith might be much more useful later, getting in the way of something a lot bigger than these. Either way, Sap is a bit of a disaster, but no need to worry about Blackjack Stunners. This is the stealth deck, not the secret deck. So the worst that can happen is you get sapped. And there's also a decent chance you get sapped here. So XiaoYao just trying to work out whether he really needs to put everything into killing this Drake. Does he want to play the Faceless? It's quite a lot to commit. Not the easiest of turns at all. Rogue turns aren't easy. You run out of cards so quickly as a rogue if you try and do anything too, removal wise, removal heavy. But that was deemed a big enough threat. It was going to just chew through the minions one at a time, turn after turn. So needed removing. And now the Bone Wraith works. It fills the board. It covers everything. And then Reno next turn would be able to remove pretty much anything that can be thrown at it. Alongside the rolling fireball, of course. Also, Pilgrim and Deep Freeze both available on 8. That's another big deal with coin available. So one line here could just be to Reno and then just coin these 8 drops out, and it looks really nice for Xiao at this point. XiaoYao, sorry if I'm getting the wrong one. I'm sure people will correct me. I'm happy to be corrected. That's a Dragon's Bane, and that works with any hero power. So suddenly your rogue hero power becomes equip a dagger, do 5 damage. He's going for the Reno. That doesn't mean he's willing to let the Dragon's Bane live for the Dragon's Bane. Yeah, Dragon's Bane live for a turn. A lot of the time, the one with the highest health lives remarkably often. When you do the maths, it's really likely. And XiaoYao would look like he was going to point the face and take a 50-50, but for the sake of one dagger charge, you can be in control of your own destiny on that. Find out where the 5 damage is going to go first, and then tank the 4 if it has hit. Yeah, you lose a dagger charge, but so what? Obviously the game is all about being efficient, and all these small efficiencies add up, but on this occasion, yeah, you've got a totally different play available to you should the 5 damage miss. He now has the question as to whether he wants to defend this with the Shadow Step. He knows there's 7 mana available to Xiao next turn. Is he scared of the 5 that would be left over after a ping? He values this. It's a good card. Now Xiao likely to deep freeze, you would think. He's got a lot of answers, and not bad on questions either, which is the rarer thing for Rogue. Alex Straza waiting to start doing some serious damage. But same position as last time really. You want to Dragon's Bane first and find out where you are. First, checking to make sure there's nothing crazy comes out of faces. This is fine. Doomsayer would have been a bit awkward, to say the least. Unlikely to take one of these down, trade into it, and see where you are there. But this just goes face, and that changes the game plan. The game plan was going to be traditional Rogue game plan: go wide, hit your opponent when you can, keep the board clear. But now with Eviscerate in hand, dagger available, the plan can just become kill the mage. There's only 5 healing in the whole deck, and that's the amazing Reno. I guess that you can see there's a card suit defender as well, but sure. Playing that, you're missing a turn for the health gain. It quite often just resets the game. Oh, interesting. He's actually going to buff up the taunt, so all the eggs in one basket. Let's see how this works out. So you can polymorph and trade 2 things into probably the Dragon's Bane just to get rid of it. That doesn't look too nice. So you can rolling fireball. Which end would you start? If you start on the right hand side, it only kills the 4/7. You start on the left hand side, it goes 4/5. It gets as far as the Dragon Bane runs out. It doesn't kill it, puts it to 2. You've got to get rid of this Dragon's Bane. So you can't Frost Nova surely. You could Pilgrim for a miracle, and then next turn you've got Polymorph and Fireball. You can also play Solarian. Does that help? 1, 4, 5. Solarian and Fireball would be great, because then you could ping down the Dragon's Bane, but you haven't got enough mana for that. So I think you end up having to Polymorph the 4/7. on double trade. That's where he's going to end up. And actually he's going to Frost Nova as well, which is the part of the equation I was missing there. Flick, Sky Shiv, what timing. Just as he was starting to look like he was turning the corner here, Relentless Freezing coming up, etc. Getting into the bigger cards in his deck. But Flick just wafts all that away. And Sue's now got a real problem. Okay, so the Rolling Fireball with a slow, this is what he didn't do last turn. We'll clear everything. He'd obviously added that up last turn. Oh, but there's Kronk's into Shadow Step available here, which obviously gets Galakroned and gets a guaranteed 5 more damage should he want it, which he appears to do. So Galakron next turn, and then your opponent's on 9 if you go face one more time. To set up some sorts of lethal. Choice here for Siu. He's going to have to Alex his own face at some point. But he also wants to play Amazing Reno at some point. That's an extra 5 armor. Might be worth just getting Reno out of the way now and then starting to load up the board. If you start to load up the board first, the problem is you're relying on your opponent sort of beating you on board to Reno them, which might work, but you're on 10 health, that might be too slow. So this to me suggests he is going to Reno. Mercury's going to Pilgrim now. Doesn't hit anything of use. So just pings off another damage. And here comes the Storm. XiaoYao had got the option to attack and re-dagger, but he wants to get as many lackeys as possible. Especially now. That's a Togwaggle. The one card he gets from Galakron. Galakron always gets Togwaggle, you know that, but usually at least he has 4 goes at it. Okay, doing it all now. And then next turn you would think you could find lethal. The downside with hitting the one to the face is the secret. It came from the Pilgrim. And he's right not to attack, because it is indeed the ice barrier. I keep wanting to say ice block, but that's not been in the game for 3 years. I feel like now you want to Alex your own face. You need to not be on 10 urgently. You could also Reno. You need to not be on 10 urgently. Pick one. Because you know there's a Krunks. It's just 5 damage waiting to happen. And, you know, double of this would just be the end of the game. You've seen a Togwaggle, you know you're not in good shape. So yeah, is this 3 to face really necessary? I guess he's thinking if XiaoYao ever attacks face, then he gets another 8 health from the armor, from the secret, so why not? Alright, XiaoYao looking for lethal. Not getting it. So now has to deal with Alex, which is a nuisance. It's easy enough done, but it's a nuisance. Do you want to do that, or do you want to seal fate the Alex? Oh, first of all, he's going to check to make sure that this is the secret he's scared of. Because if it was Flame Ward, he'd look a bit silly. Yeah, I'm just loading up here. Now he is going to play Kronks, I believe. Oh, he has the option just to eviscerate. Yeah, this is far better. So is that a lethal setup? 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 plus 4 plus 5. Not quite, but it's really, really close. Like really, really close. Reno just makes the most sense here. Your opponent's got 7 cards left, so you know they've got Sap in hand. You know there's a Kronks because you've seen it bounce back. Which is 8 damage currently if you give everything +2, +2. Okay, makes it 6 damage, I guess. Reluctant to play Reno. Would have to react if he played Reno to opponent playing a super wide board. But this is looking good. How quickly this stealth deck gets through its cards. 6 left to go, as opposed to Xio, who's still got 15. And that's one of the reasons that this deck is played. Obviously, you're seeing the downside at the same time. There's a lot of... You just want to land that killer blow, and there kind of isn't one. You just tickle your opponent until they end up having to give up. You just frustrate them out of the game. Even Priest against this deck, which we might see if this goes to 1-0. If XiaoYao does finish this off, which it looks like he should. But even Priest against this deck goes a long way, because the Priest just doesn't have enough over and over again removal to deal with all this rubbish on the board. You know, there's no prime target most of the time, it's just junk. But this junk's adding up to 11 damage. It's not so junky when it's that much. Have we finally got there? I don't think we have. Not with that lot, we haven't. Oh, now we might have. 4, 8, 13, 14, 15 points of damage exactly. Is there the mana? 2, 4, 6, 10. Everything's exact. XiaoYao going to take a moment to check it all, and then hopefully we'll see all the direct damage go to face, plus the minion, plus the hero for exact lethal. And IG take another 1-0 lead. Sword won for them twice last week. And looks like they're going to continue those winning ways. Good start anyway. (1-0). And it's the Priest or the Demon Hunter left for Xio here. Both of which are good, but at the time this was played, I think the Priest was better. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I prefer the Priest here. But the Demon Hunter can just hit Rogue in the face really rapidly and kill the Rogue. Okay, I'll go with Demon Hunter. That's fine. As well as, the more obvious thing is that the Priest is going to have to match into this Warrior at some point. You really don't want to match your Demon Hunter into the Warrior. So no matter how you rate this matchup, you have to queue the Demon Hunter. This is absolutely correct. So the way Rogue wins this, and it's a lot harder for it to do as a Stealth Rogue than it is as the Secret Rogue, is by not going below about 18 before getting the board. Again, that's a totally unofficial number pulled out of the wazoo number. But around 18 is where the Demon Hunter just is able to metamorphosis you to death, hit you with a few buffed Warglaives and you fold up. But more than that is where the Rogue starts fighting back to such an extent that the Demon Hunter has to actually take care of the minions, otherwise it will die. And with that in mind, as Xio knows what I'm going to say, he sees this really weird play. There's going to be a huge Edwin, but the coin might not get involved. The coin's not going to get involved because of how good coin 5-drop is next turn into 5-drop the turn after. So, as much as a reprieve as you could hope for on the Edwin, but it's still a really stupid 6/6 thing that you've got to deal with. It's going to use a lot of resources and time to do so. And time is something that Demon Hunter does not like to waste. The health resource isn't so important. And now XiaoYao can just play the Faceless Corruptor and leave 2 4/3s on the board. Ooh. Or he can play Shield of Galacrond. Interesting to me. I like spreading it out as 4/3s there, especially after you've seen an I-beam, because it's going to be quite difficult to deal with both. Now you can still deal with both. Well, deal with 6/4 and a 1/3, which is fine. Given up a bit of tempo to do so. So yeah, with that in mind, this is now better. He's managed to preserve his Faceless by going this route and still not got into any further trouble. So I think we have to give him credit for going this far into the future and preserving his 1-card draw. But that 1 card could have been more if Greyheart Sage was picked up. With a reasonable, it's an okay skull. Now let's decide what he's going to do about this really annoying Spy Mistress. Is he going to just leave it there forever? No. So, do you really care about Rogue's dagger? Well, you do, but Rogue tends not to dagger that much, so I think playing the Swampoos would make sense here. Just letting the Spy Mistress have a target, and then you can go about your business. Playing some Hearthstone like you want to, rather than sitting there being scared of this 3-1 forever. You have the card advantage, and he does choose to do it. And because you have the card advantage, feel that it makes sense to try and trade 1-for-1 here on board. XiaoYao did have the choice there again to play the Faceless, which again would have left him with minions on board. But choosing instead to go for Galacrond, he is running pretty low on resources. Galacrond's really good at filling those back up. Not just the free card, but lackeys against Demon Hunter are pretty good. You know, they tend to find a way to do 2 damage, whether it's rushing in a 1-1 and buffing it to 2-1, or straight up hitting you for 2, or finding a little spell. Making a 2-3 or 2-2 minion. Yeah, they pretty much work out at 2 damage each, which Demon Hunter deals in 2s when it's not dealing in 16s. I think this is reasonable. I do begin to question whether the Faceless should have been down earlier, though. We'll get to see how it is finally used and whether it was worth. And if it's used here, which it could well be, that would seem like some good value. Yep, that's going to work out pretty nicely, to be fair. Oh wow. I'm going to get a chance to Shadow Step as well. Winged Guardian I want to go with for that. One of the cards you see all the time, never bother learning the name of. And yeah, gotta give it. These Faceless Corruptors worked out well. Of course the game would have been very different had they been on the board, but it seems reasonable. And now, I said the key number was about 18. Well, 17. But I'm not going to make a decision. Okay, now I made a decision because I've seen the next card. I feel that XiaoYao is in a good spot. If that card had been Metamorphosis, I wouldn't have felt that. Or another skull. But because this, what I believe is a winged guardian, you'll hear furious typing in a moment. I don't want to call it wrong for the entire game. It is a winged guardian. Yeah, because of this, I feel it's going to be very, very difficult for Xio to get through. He does have Kane. He does have Metamorphosis. That's neither of those two cards. He does have to get through an extra 5 armor when Galakon is made. He can push quite a lot here. Gonna have to eat a lot of damage to do so, and be prepared to get killed on the backswing. But as it stands, he's actually going to push more than I'd give him credit for. I was going into the it is over throws, but it's definitely not over. In fact, I may have just called it wrong. See, it might just be going to win this. So, deciding on what should go face. Has he decided everything, or he just doesn't know what to do with this? Okay. There's the Eviscerate. That's 4 damage. Seal Fate takes down the Battle Fiend. But does he need the health from the Galakon to stay alive? If you Seal Fate Eviscerate, you would need to get lucky from the lackey. Doing it this way. Wait, don't you want the lackey first? Because you might get something you can bounce and kill 2 minions with? The game's so nearly over here that I think you just want all the lackeys you can get. So on the off chance he can get a kobold lackey, he'll kill 2 things. Doesn't get it, so game continues as you were. And plenty of outs here for Xio to just win this game. 1, 2, 3, plus 5 is 8. He worked out a fraction quicker than I did. 8 isn't 9. So, just push all the damage you can. There were so many outs there. Now is it lethal back the other way? The answer is no. At least with what we can see. So, looking pretty dead. I think the Fairy Dragon, because you might want to play it at some point. But you're just dead right now. Sap doesn't undead you. Oh, but that undead you. It's going to come down really rapidly, but it sets up lethal on the board, but it can be frozen. Feel like I've completely lost control of this cast. I have no idea who's winning after each consecutive turn. It's just not happening for either of them. Okay, chance to make some significant impact here. It's going to get 3 lackeys minimum. Right, you don't want that one. Not right now. That was good. Use that one. That'll kill a thing. Probably want to hero power to see what the next one's going to be. No, he's not going to mess around. He's going to sap. Okay. Takes as much damage off the board as he can. Because all he needs to happen is this dragon to hit face. Yep. So every point of damage matters. But Spectral Sight, if you're going to win this, 2 draws seems good. That's lots of damage. That's not lots of damage. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There were plenty of draws there that would have done it as well. But that's not going to do it. And Xio, whoever lost this would have felt like they were robbed. But Xio, I don't know how he hasn't won this. Alex Straza found off a Shadow Step Dragon Lackey. And XiaoYao is about to go 2-0 ahead. I don't know how. Yeah. Well, that's just... he's just counting, I guess. 4, 5, 6, 7. It's still 7. Yeah, is he going for the panic concede? Anyway, he does the honourable thing. Attacks into that extra and it's 2-0 for IG. One deck remaining for Sunning, and it is the Priest. So, first of all, it's got to go through the Rogue, and as I said, this could go a while. I think Priest is slightly favoured personally, but I'll talk about that more in a moment. The Warrior is definitely good for the Priest, although this is the meaty Warrior, the version with green skin and with Deathwing. And then the Hunter's the real problem. The Hunter just hits you and hits you and hits you. When you stabilise, it just keeps hitting you. And Priest can't really get an assault in time. But onto this matchup. This goes in what I think of as 3 phases. First of all, there's the can Rogue just kill you phase, which is where we are now. The point being, can Rogue just kill you? Sometimes the Rogue curves out, and although the Priest can remove some things, Rogue makes a togwaggle, and the Priest doesn't really have the resources, and the Rogue just kills you. Then we have the middle game, which is the interesting part to me, which is the bit where Murazon becomes super important. Can you steal a Wanderer's Wand, for instance? Or can you get a Galacon to wipe out a big board? Maybe you generate some interesting stuff and gain some value. And then at the end we have the who has won phase, which is where you've all played all your cards and somebody's won and the game tells you who. Because at that point all the value resolves itself and you see who generated the most value and used it the best over the course of the game. And that means that somebody gets left with stuff and somebody gets left without stuff, and the person with stuff wins. But we are still in the can Rogue win phase. Is he just going to get it done? And at the moment, it's looking reasonable for the Priest. 6 attack available though for XiaoYao. It's not to be sniffed at. And nice reduction from the early Fate Weaver. Super good card, but very irregular whether it's good or not, based upon those invokes, which is why that turn was such a weird looking one from Xiu. Does now have a very versatile and cheap hand. Lots of removal, and a Murazon thrown in for good measure. And it might be crucial because XiaoYao is actually exerting a lot of pressure. Yeah, I was busy talking and looking actually at Xiu's hand largely there. But I saw Xiu's reaction out the corner of my eye and realised a Tolvir is just the best thing you can get there. Would be a shame if something were to happen to it. Okay, XiaoYao is going to try and beat Murazon getting the wand. This is really, really good. Plays the wand next turn and then Murazon can't copy it. However, Murazon has been reduced to 7. And if you Murazon the wand, you end up in such an incredibly good spot. Because you get the 3 things they play off the wand, which people invariably do, because why wouldn't you play your naught drops? And you get the wand effect as well, so you get 3 more, which is absolutely silly. So presume he's going to play it, or is why go through this? Yeah, there's not going to be fewer Murazons as things go by, right? This is your chance. And if one of those 3 cards that's been reduced in your opponent's hand is Murazon, so be it. Sometimes you play the numbers. There's 20 cards in deck. There's 3 cards on the right of the hand. You'd have to be unlucky, and it shouldn't be game breaking because you're in a good spot. Plus, you're making 1,000 Edwin Van Cleef, or whatever this is going to be. So if they want a Murazon, they've got to find a way to deal with this 10-10, which they can't because they played Murazon. Nice turn overall there from XiaoYao. And I'm telling you now, if he plays the Murazon, I'm just going to watch it. Okay. Because I have no idea how this is going to end up. Yeah, seal fating his own Edwin, for instance. Yeah, that's a lot of stuff. And that's still a lot of stuff. Well, 10 cards in hand, so he's looking to dump something. The problem with Priest is all your cards just make more cards. The other problem is you're staring down a lot of damage here if this 4/5 gets removed. So, apotheosing on the Spy Mistress. That makes sense. Should be hard to get to. 4, 8, 18, 21, 23. There's so much damage. I get to 23, 24. Any more than that? 25? This is so close to lethal. Okay. Just chewing through this with lackeys. Not bothered about taking 4 damage, just playing like a slow demon hunter. Same sort of method going on. So what's he going to do with this last 2 mana? Obviously the 10's going to face, you would think. This is complicated. He's actually sapping the Murazond, which is interesting because he just played 1,000,000 cards. Oh! He's flicking his own Spy Mistress, which is going to kill the opposing Spy Mistress. That's a super bit of play. Just making my notes. That was lovely. Really well worked from XiaoYao. Absolute quality piece of play, and he knows it. That cheeky little smile, just for a second, across his face. You know when you've had a good turn. You're allowed to be happy with that. It's one of those interactions that you know what's going to happen when he plays it, but you don't instinctively get drawn towards killing your own minion to kill your opponents. Because even usually when you're killing your opponents, you're like, oh no, mine will die as well. And you still point it at the opposing minion. You don't point it at your own. It's just not how brains work. So that's a lovely spot. And it's put him in position now to take down this match. However, while I've been waffling and taking notes and stuff, Xio has found this Mass Dispel. So we'll be able to hold on a little longer at least. And actually, yeah, I say hold on a little longer like that. It's a little bit more violent than that as he generates another Mass Dispel now. It's so weird having to start every turn by adding up 2 lots of 4. Because with those double eviscerates, don't half bring the opposing health total down. Difficult to pace now here for XiaoYao. He's going to go for another big Edwin, which makes sense. Your opponent just had to, turn cartwheels to get through the last Edwin. Why wouldn't this one be hard? But we see there that another Mass Dispel was generated from the Sethek. Still defending every minion though, with his health total, using his health as a resource. Like you do. This Edwin's going to be even bigger than the last one. I don't know how big it's going to be, but big is the technical term. Yeah, 12-12. Keeps finding ways to put that lethal on the board. But this time, when things are dealt with, can he get a 9-1 in amongst all this? and have it live and unopposed. That'd be funny. Yeah, this time if it's all dealt with, then XiaoYao is going to be down to his Galakond and Eviscerate and whatever he draws from the Galakond. 2 cards. As I've mentioned probably too much during the course of this, it's not in general particularly good when you Galakond compared to maybe Secret Road, which is a little bit heavier. And Murazon, which was sat back down to hand on the assumption for XiaoYao that he was going to get it done, which was a fair assumption on that turn, is actually turning out now to be pretty brutal. Even taking his own Galakond. Still, nothing fantastic there. It's going to be all about the lackeys. First job, stay alive, which means getting rid of Murazon, put up some Taunt and Hope. The second job is get something that does something, because all these cards are garbage. They're useful garbage, but they're still garbage. And now for Xia, really, it's just about not having an accident. He should be able to contain this. He's only got 10 more cards to get through, it looks like, for XiaoYao, and then he's just out of cards. But lackeys are nasty things. We saw that Draconic Lackey generate the Alexstrasza that was required to win the previous game. So you do really want to finish the rogue off before anything stupid happens to you. Allows him to get to the 9-1 with a minimum of fuss. Seems to just be getting out of range now. Taking a Soul Mirror might be good, although Holy Nova is also tempting. Actually, all 3 are tempting. Of course, Thought Steal is one of the best cards in Priest. Who would have thought we'd say that? With a cut from 3 mana, which is seen play on 3 mana in the past, but cutting it down to 2 mana has made it into a prime card. Yeah, I see you're just putting stats on board. Like, you're a rogue, you can't deal with all these stats. People tell me that all the time about my stats. Just can't deal with all the stats. Right, Alexstrasza is the last big thing left. XiaoYao's ordering seems to be impeccable. Just the little things. Play your Alexstrasza after you don't see a Doomsayer. Seems to have a lot of that down really well. Been pretty impressed with him. IG do look sneaky good. But sneaky good they may be. But this particular game of Hearthstone, they're going to need to be better than that. Of course, this is just a lot of damage coming in now against absolutely nothing. Kronks seems to have come to keep the game going, especially now. And Xia's going to have to wait to get this win on the board. It doesn't look like it can go wrong, but it must be irritating him. It's irritating me. Okay, and that's not going to kill minions because that is the rogue Galakond. Gleaned earlier from Madame Lazul. How did he avoid taking this 6 without overreacting? You can avoid the 6 in numerous different ways, but is there a... No, this is fine. It's another Galacond, because why wouldn't you want another Galacond after you just played Galacond? And there's no way now that XiaoYao can get out of this, but we play on. The game continues. Don't think the game continues much longer though. Seal fate before his fate is sealed, I feel here. Just playing every card he gets hands on. Hoping that one of them does something that it doesn't say. But no, that's just a collection of cards. Galacond's level 3. So this does it? Question mark? Yeah, it does it. Galacond weapon for the last 5. 2 games to 1. XiaoYao's got his hunter or his warrior to queue into the priest. We don't know for sure about tiebreakers. I will find out at some point. But I feel like tiebreakers matter. Like 3-1 is better than 3-2. And he feels the same way, so he queues the hunter. Just a quick look at the warrior. It is the meaty list, so it's not quite as bad against priest. It's got green skin. It has got the Deathwing, the new Deathwing. Mad aspect. But yeah, hunter just beats priest down quite often. And XiaoYao just going to curve through nicely, you would hope, if you're an IG fan. And honestly, the way they play so far, I think they're probably gaining a few fans along the way. So Xia has to work out what he wants to do here. How is he going to approach not dying in the first few turns? And really you have 2 choices. You can try and kill everything and hope it all goes away and not lose much health at all. Or you can challenge everything, maybe even get into a sneaky situation where you get a bit of a board and then fight back early. But yeah, already you see just how hard that's going to be. It's not about killing things, it's just that the hunter quite often plays the biggest thing available on each turn. And the priest isn't equipped to deal with that, it's equipped to deal with a lot of things. But the hunter will always have something to do, the priest won't always have an answer. And he doesn't see the Bran. I don't know if that makes much difference, but it's sort of unfortunate for him to not know it's there. You play as if it's there anyway a lot of the time, because obviously there's 5 more cards to be drawn between now and dinosaur time. Dinosaur o'clock. But even so, it would help if you didn't have to make a decision maybe in a few turns' time. Do I want to or don't I want to? Meanwhile, I think he should take the Rottnest Drake. He needs to work out though if he's going to be playing his other dragon next turn. If he is, then it's a lot less tempting. But I feel like it's the right choice. He may also never get a chance to take a straight 100% Rottnest. That makes it a lot worse when that happens. If he feels that, excuse me, that's a Zephyrus. Be interesting to see when that gets played. But it's not this turn. Just more curve. It's good. And XiaoYao protecting the board that he has. And with the pickup of this Fey Wing, some casters have a lot to answer for sometimes. Words are contagious, apparently. Yeah, with the pickup of this Fey Wing, XiaoYao is going to be able to ask different questions each and every turn, and what Xiao needs to realise here is that he can't deal with everything in one go. So we saw a situation similar to this with Purple the other week, and he just played the breath here and planned to clear over 2 turns. Because if you don't spend your mana, you're going to lose as a priest. You've got a tough enough job as it is without just missing turns. Does set up a potential Shadow Madness if you breath here. We can see it would work out really, really well. Trying to find something different. He doesn't seem to like the options. Don't blame him. I mean, the options look horrible, right? But spend your mana. Does he want a penance? Okay, cool. I like this. This is planning a long way ahead. This is saying I'm going to steal the thing you play next turn and kill it. Well, steal your poison and kill the thing you play next turn, and then I'm going to penance the things after that. And XiaoYao knows it. He senses this. What if he plays Zephyrus instead? Now that was. I want to see his face when this gets Shadow Madness, because he knows this is coming. And you know, the purse of the lips there, I don't think he believes that top deck, as in, I think he knows there's another one. I think Siu playing the top one was trying to tilt him, but I think XiaoYao was like, you set that up last turn, and you played it too quickly this turn. I think I know you've got another. And yeah, that's a bit of a stretch, it's a bit of a deep reach. But I think we've seen that XiaoYao is capable of playing this way. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. We see all the players twice every week, so we will be seeing him again this week. I am very much liking our first look at him. So next turn's Dino Tamer turn. The reason I'm going there is because I'm working out if you want a Zephyrus now. Alexstrasza on 9. So the only point of view Zephyrus now is you don't maybe get Tyrion, which you might be after, but I don't think he's going to get many other chances to play. Okay, he's keeping it back. Maybe wants to have the option deep in the future of, I don't know, Unleash the Hound Zephyrus Bloodlust, for instance. And that, for instance, isn't there because I think that's going to happen. It's there to show you the things that can mature if you keep a Zephyrus in your hand a long time, if you don't feel you need it right now. When the card first got released, people like doing this. They're keeping it for maximum value all the time. And soon, as always, with the Hearthstone community, people realise that's wrong. You just play it on turn 2 and backstab your opponent's minion and gain tempo. But we're seeing from XiaoYao here that you don't have to actually just be insane about things. It is possible to play this game different ways depending on the situation. Stunningly enough. He has shown very good restraint with all of his cards. Like we saw him hold the Faceless Corruptor for a long time in one of the other games. He doesn't half know how to present a tough board, but for all my waxing lyrical about how great he is, he's done 2 damage this game. Really needs to sort that out soon. And you see that he probably is going to sort it out soon. There's Dino Tamers and Alexstrazzas, all kinds of nasties coming up. But so far he's done 2 damage. No, he's done no damage. We need to bear that in mind. The damage could start ticking up quite handsomely here. Play the Rot Nest. Your opponent has given not that much information, but Priest down to 5 cards. You're kind of winning by default. You're in front, that is, by default when the Priest is down to 5 cards. You've chipped away at their resources to the point where they're no longer comfortable with things. And Sirius having a bit of an issue here in that Galakron invokes just haven't been happening. That's why he's still got the 2 Fate Weavers in hand as well. Murazon's a big deal here. I've seen XiaoYao avoid a lot of situations, but this one, let's see if he gets Murazoned, what actually happens. His opponent doesn't get the cards because it's a battle cry, so he should be okay. He just gets these cards. If your opponent plays Murazon, you kill him with all of this stuff. Does keep back Varanus, which obviously works well with Unleash. So Siu can once again kill everything with a horror, with a breath. That does clear the board. But then once again, if he does that, would be passing straight back to XiaoYao saying, okay, well done. You once again made a board I could deal with and once again got 2 cards off me. But this time XiaoYao would be able to play in a Grand Slam, which is just instant 12 damage to face. There's nothing else available. And I think Siu, yeah, he's feeling this. But you're going to. It's Priest against Hunter. It's kind of what happens. And this will make Raven very happy. He's a big fan of this card in Hunter. And why wouldn't you be in this situation? It's an empty board. It's 12 damage to a Priest you've been struggling to hurt. And 2 or 3 turns ago I was saying how no damage had been done. Well, now you've set up lethal and Siu doesn't have great ways of dealing with it. Can Murazon and see where his go. Hope to take out 2 of these minions with some good hits. That's what he's going to go for. Let's see what happens. Go face is useless. Stupid, whatever they are. Rhino cows. And that's just lethal on board. And that's the end of the game. XiaoYao takes it down convincingly 3-1. IG march on to 5-2.